I came home at 11:47 p.m., exhausted, expecting to find my wife asleep. Instead, I saw her sitting alone in the living room with the lights off. My first thought was that something was wrong. Then I heard her whisper, "He still doesn't know." I froze. I quietly closed the front door and stood behind the hallway wall, just far enough that she couldn't see me. My heart began pounding as I listened. For 10 years, I had trusted my wife completely. I worked long hours, paid our bills, supported her dreams, and believed our marriage was strong. But that night, I was about to discover that the woman I loved had been hiding a secret from me. She picked up her phone and said, "I can't keep doing this." There was a pause. Then she whispered, "He thinks I'm working late because of the project. If he finds out, everything will fall apart." My hands went cold. Who was she talking to? I took one careful step closer. She continued, "You promised me you would leave your wife. You said I wouldn't have to hide forever." My stomach dropped. She was having an affair, and somehow the other man was married too. I wanted to walk into the room and confront her immediately. I wanted to scream, demand answers, and throw every painful question at her. But something stopped me. I needed to know how long this had been happening. Then she said something that hurt more than the affair itself. "He trusts me completely. That's why I feel so guilty." I almost laughed. Guilty? After everything I had done for her? After all the nights I waited for her to come home, believing every excuse? I stepped backward before she could hear me and quietly went upstairs. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the wedding photograph on the nightstand. We looked so happy in that picture. I remembered the promise I had made that day. To love her, protect her, and stand beside her no matter what. Now I wondered whether she had ever meant the same thing. A few minutes later, she came upstairs. When she entered the bedroom, I pretended to be asleep. She changed clothes, slipped into bed, and whispered, "I'm sorry." I kept my eyes closed. The next morning, I acted normally. I made coffee. I kissed her goodbye. And I went to work. But I spent the entire day thinking. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth. Over the next week, I quietly collected evidence, messages, phone records, hotel receipts. Every lie she had told me suddenly had a second meaning. Then I discovered something I never expected. The man she was seeing wasn't just some random stranger. He was my closest friend. The same man who had attended our wedding. The same man who had stood beside me when my father died. The same man I had trusted with my life. That evening I came home early. My wife was sitting at the kitchen table. I placed a folder in front of her. She opened it. Her face went completely pale. "What is this?" she whispered. "You know exactly what it is." Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to explain, but I stopped her. "I heard you that night." She looked at me in shock. "You were standing behind me?" "Yes." She covered her face and began crying. Then she said, "It wasn't supposed to happen." I stared at her. That's what everyone says when they want forgiveness without admitting they made a choice. She looked up at me. "I still love you." Those words almost broke me, because I still loved her too. But love couldn't erase betrayal. I stood up and placed my wedding ring on the table. "I spent 10 years believing you were my safest place," I said quietly. "Now I understand that sometimes the person you trust the most can be the person who hurts you the deepest." She reached for my hand. I stepped away. That night, I left the house with one suitcase. I didn't know what my future would look like, but for the first time in years, I knew one thing for certain. I would never again confuse loyalty with ignoring the truth. And as I drove away, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my wife. Just 5 words. "There's something else you don't know." I stared at the screen. And suddenly, I realized the affair might not have been the biggest secret she had been hiding.